So everyday code, why this? There's a lot of pockets which I really like. You can fill them so you have everything with you that you really need. Also inside, it's nicely warm. It also has a hood you can put on your head. It is a color that does not get that easily dirty. You can also adjust these with all those buckles. Also, when your zippers are failing, you still have this other way of closing it, which is a great thing in my opinion. So I hope this helps. Everyday code out. So you have yourself a nice pocket knife with a liner lock. So as you can see here, this little part will lock in the knife, and you also see that here. See, so if you would open it up, then that would that's a little bit stiff. But as you can see here, the little liner lock, if you click it, see, then it locks in and you have your knife locked in, right? It's a free flow design, so it's easy to clean because the dirt falls through. But it can also be damaged. Yeah? And once it is damaged, you don't have any use for it, right? Because, for example, you lose the screws when you disassemble it, or you have to retighten it, or just get lost because it's a little bit weaker design than others. And then you can have all these compartments. I will show you. These two parts are the scales, the outer scales. This is the part where you had the liner lock. So this little piece would then come up and give you the grip to lock in, and that could be the blade. So what could you do with them? You see it already that I have given them a little bit of different use. So I'll start with this one. This is one of the outer scales, and I had a little bit of a knob, and sometimes you need to how do you say this? Normally you have a ball peen hammer, but a ball peen hammer might be a little bit too long, and then you can have something like this. This is just a knob that I attach to it, and that gives you a way of removing dents. So we'll show you. So this is a very small ball peen hammer, and it has the same type of use, but as you can see, the handle is a lot less in length, and you see a more normal type of ball peen hammer, which is even longer. So taking those away, you can construct your own limited use ball peen hammer with a very short handle, and that can be beneficial in hard to get to places. Still, it's quite hefty because the knob is quite hefty, and you could use that. Without doing that, you can have the scales like you see here, and I did not do anything to it. But you could use this also, for example, slide it in the card slots of your wallet, and you have a little bit of a prying arrangement. So if you have to do light prying work, you can access this. It's very light, very slim, good way to go. So I already walked through the outer scales. Now I'm going into the liner lock. What you can do, of course, because this is a part that is able to move, you can pin something in between and let it be used as like a little bit of a plier to hold something into place or put some pressure on it and then manipulate it, move it where you want. I also put a very light edge on it, so you could use it as a scraper to remove, for example, some stickers, or to also very little angle on the other side, and that's for opening boxes. Then you can say, okay, it might be sharp, and you could cut up your clothes a little bit because it is slightly sharpened. But if you slide it in a card holder like that, you will be good to go. That's a way to go. And talking about card holders, you could do the same with the blade. So what I did with the blade, now remove it from the card holder. Of course, you can also remove these buckles because you don't need them that much, but perhaps you find a use for them. so I just kept them on. What I did, I removed the edge completely here, so that way you can still use it and hold it, for example, if you have to open something or pry something, because this is more of a tento blade. What that means is that the thickness of the back is providing sturdiness up till the end of the blade. It's hard to get it. Hard to get it focused, sorry for that. I'll try in a different view. Hope this helps. So as you can see, the tento design gives the strength of the blade a lot bit more. So you could use it a little bit for prying tasks. As mentioned, I scraped off, as you can see also here in more detail, I removed the edge completely, so it's not edgy anymore. But you can still use this, because I could have scraped it off a little bit more. But what I did is, now you can use this also to sharpen other tools. So you just slide them through and use it as a sharpening rod. And of course you could remove more, and then it could be up to there or even further, and that could give you a little bit more grip. But even so, by removing that, you should also remove that part, and I did not do that. So now you could use it like a 2-3 finger hold, as you can see here, and use it as a scraping tool. It's not that sharp anymore because it is used as a scraping tool, but still, because it has a small point, I would recommend sliding it in a card holder like that, and you will be good to go. Of course, if you remove this stud, it is a lot slimmer in profile. As you can see, those are a little bit protruding, but it gives you an insight that even a broken tool can be, how do you say this, reused, and you have good use for it. This is a good tool also to open, for example, letters. It doesn't need to be that sharp, and still you have that nice point to make a start, and then it's widening quite rapidly. And also as a tool to, for example, give a back the edge to your scissors or what have you. And this one could be a prying tool. Just put it into your wallet and you have a small prying tool without an edge. You could also put an edge on it a little bit to make it better as a scraper, for example. This was more the ball peen hammer, as you remembered. Very top heavy because of the knob there, the ball, but could be used in tight spots to open those spots that are a little bit dented, and reprofile them. This is the lightest one of the bunch because it is, I'll show you. Of course the liner is a lot lighter than the scale, as you can see here. So scale at the bottom and liner at top. It's almost half the weight. And also because there are some other things removed, you can still use it, but it's quite springy. You could use it as a little bit of a plier to put something in between and hold it like that. Use as a scraper and as a letter opener, for example, or box opener, even better. So that could be a thing. Hope you like this video. Let me know your thoughts. Have a great day. Oftentimes people talk about their tools for the situation, and very often they come with an axe. But axe are quite bulky. This is an alternative for that. This is more of a lighter axe design with a hammer on the other side, so not a spike. Sometimes they also come with spikes. It has a plastic handle, plastic reinforced handle, which is a lot lighter than a full tang tomahawk or axe type of design. Another thing that could be used, this is more for wood processing, of course, and still have the hammer instead of the spike. If you don't need the spike, the hammer can be a lot more useful to, for example, drive something into the ground. But if you do need the spike, for example, to destroy rocks, this can also be a very good alternative. This is a pickaxe. This has a head of 500 gram. The total weighs about 700 gram, which is comparable to these hammers you see next to it. This is a little bit lighter, and that is also a little bit lighter. And this is probably lighter still than hammers, because of the plastic handle, of course. But if you don't need that, and you can use a pickaxe, it's a very light pickaxe. The detrimental factor of pickaxes are extremely heavy, but this is extremely light, but also for light pickaxe work, of course. But the benefit is that you have then a hoe tool, as they call that, to dig something. And when you get into more rocky area, which is harder to dig, you can pulverize them with the spike. That's the idea. Also a plastic handle instead of a wooden one is easier in maintenance, of course, and you have a rubber handle, which is also very nice. This is a roofing hammer. It has a little bit of a spike, but it's also beneficial to pull nails, as you can see. And the spike is there to start to lime or other stone and make a little bit of hole. This is a Hoftag hammer. This is also a Hoftag hammer, so that gives you an idea. And this is a Benson 500 gram pickaxe, as you can see here. The benefit also from the roofing hammer is that you have, this is a 600 gram head, so that is a 500 gram head. It's even more bulky than the pickaxe, as you can see there. And the benefit is that you have a place where you can put the spike, the nails in, as you can see here. And it also has a magnet in place to keep them there. So that's a very good thing if you have to work over your head. And then you can put a nail in there. And once it is in the roof, you can then hammer it with the normal hammer side, as you can see here. This is still a head and a, how do you say this? The handle and the heads are all separate on these units, but in this unit it's not separate, and I like that more. Why is that? This is a normal claw hammer, but it's made out of one piece. It is slimmer here, as you can see, to save weight, but it's very sturdy. It cannot break that easily. This gives you just a prying ability, especially against nails, and normal hammerhead, of course, also light prying because it's made of a solid steel type. But in the urban environment, as I mentioned, not often do you need the wood cutting ability of an axe head, and all those others could be more beneficial. In the urban environment, you also normally don't have to dig. So please keep this in consideration. I think these two are more for the bushcrafting type, and these could be more in an urban environment, because you can make something out of this, especially roofing, as I mentioned. This could be a jack of all trades, as I mentioned, and this can be even more jack of all trades. It's a farmer tool, also known as a fencing plier. And what it can do, it also has a little bit of pin for prying. It has a hammer side on that with a little bit of texture. That's cutting inclinations here, so you can put wire. That's why it's used for fences, to cut wires. Also here, this is very nice. And of course you have a little bit of a plier functionality on the bottom and the top. These are also very good to remove staples. And in the urban environment, also a carpenter. So this is a carpenter. It's very wide, as you can see here, to use for carpeting. And also it has some prying ability to get the nails out, of course, as you can see here. And it has a very small hammerhead on that side, which also can be used. But if you look at this is very easy because it's so slim to put in between something, being carpet or something else, and then leverage. So those are some tools I would really recommend in an urban setting. I'm not saying to EDC, but because of the weight of all of these, they are able to be EDC'd if needed. And they're also not extremely bulky. They are small versions that can still be used for multiple purposes, and I would really recommend this one. As you can see, it's solid one piece with some coverage to give you a little bit more comfort. Of course, it's not a good hammer, it's not a good for prying tool, but it can be used. It can be used as a jack of all trades, and also has very good fence cutting abilities. So this is a nice tool to have in your assortment, in my opinion. This is a pry bar that's not extremely bulky, but very functional because you can easily start. And the hammer made out of one piece is always a good thing to have. This is more situational, of course, if you have to work above your head. But things to consider in EDCing. Have a great day.